Now, the most important job that I can have. Allow me to express my admiration and awe of our esteemed guest. Oh yes, I'm talking about our guest speaker today, Captain Teresa M. Claiborne. Her career began in aviation in June 1981 when she was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force, where she was the first black woman pilot in the history of the Air Force. And if you hear her, when she flew her ride, she's just like, I got to do this. She is a pilot through and through. She was also the first black woman to serve as a command pilot and instructor for the KC-135 during her 7 years on active duty and 13 years in the reserves. In January 1990, she joined United Airlines as a flight officer, starting as a flight engineer on the Boeing 727 and later first officer on the 737, 747, 757, and 767 aircraft. In January 2018, she became a captain on the Boeing 757 and 767. In total, she has accumulated more than, I won't embarrass you, make you a guess, 20,000 flight hours throughout her aviation career. That makes my 3,000 seem pitiful. 20,000. In addition to these personal accolades, Captain Claiborne also serves as on the board of directors for Women Air Force Service Pilots Museum, the Grand Dames of Aviation, and became one of the founding members of the Sisters of the Skies, a nonprofit 501c3 organization with the mission of increasing the number of black women in the professional pilot career force. There is so much more about this outstanding woman, pilot, mentor, trailblazer. But I know, and you know, you don't want to hear from me. So please give me a round of applause as I invite this aviation icon herself, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Captain Teresa Claiborne.
See me? You know, I'm 5'2", right? That's a joke. I'm serious. Can you guys see me? I can see the front row pretty good. 5'2", and honest to God, for the first beginning of my career, I would actually walk up to the measuring, you know, when you go for your physical. You're like, I always figured, like, why you guys got to keep measuring me? You know how tall I am. Just weigh me. But, you know, no, we got to put that stick on the top of your head. Oh, okay, so I would approach the scale like this. That was the only way I was going to be 5'4" because they refused to give me a waiver. Initially, when I went to pilot training, I was talking to the flight doc here, and I was telling her that I needed to find the flight surgeon who, when I went to take my initial medical, and this may sound weird, but the women will get this. I was in the stirrups, and I was very tense because it was my first one, and he said, you need to relax. And I'm like, I'm trying to relax. And then he starts talking about flying. He goes, why do you want to fly? And I said, I want to fly just because I just think it's the most amazing thing. I had gotten a ride on a T-37 at ROTC training camp, and I decided then that I'm going to do this come hell or high water. This is what I want to do with my life. And as soon as I started talking about flying, I relaxed. He took care of what he needed to take care of. And then he looks at my paperwork and he goes, you're only 5'2". And I said, yes, sir. He said, well, you know, you got to be 5'4". And I go, yes, sir. Do I need this better? maybe I want to be behind the podium. Can you guys hear this? Okay. So I said, well, maybe I'm 5'2", I know, but he goes, you're supposed to be 5'4", and I said, okay, well, hopefully I'll get a waiver. And he said, come with me. So he said, I'm going to step out, you get dressed. I got dressed, and we went back to the station where the corpsman was. We called him corpsman back then. Yeah, I'm old. And he said to the corpsman, he said, she's got a height here of 5'2". Do you have a problem with making it 5'4"? And the corpsman said, no, sir. So he made it 5'4". I showed up for pilot training, knowing, and this is what the doctor said. He said, because when she gets to pilot training, they will measure her again and they will give her a waiver. It's just like people that had eyesight problems. The airport's an initial check, you had to have 20/20 vision. But if you showed up to pilot training blind as a bat, they would give you glasses. So it was just the way of how they would shed people out from the initial process. And so I showed up at pilot training and went and got measured, and they go, 5'3.5". So I didn't tiptoe enough. So they said, well, we're gonna seek a waiver for you. And they had me go out to the runway in a T-38. Y'all know what a T-38 is? Okay, in a T-38, I pulled the airplane out on the runway, and they said, okay, what we need you to do is push it up to mil power and hold the brakes. If you can do that, you passed. Well, you can't tell it from me, but I was a pretty good athlete back then, and didn't have any problem at all. Once I rolled the rudder pedals up to where they should have been, I put the seat as high as it could go, and I held the brakes. That airplane didn't do anything except shake side to side. It wanted to go, but it's like, you're not going anywhere. And so passed that with flying colors, went back, they filled out all the paperwork. It looked like I was a shoo-in. We finished up academics, and I still didn't have my paperwork saying I had a waiver. So they said, well, sorry, Lieutenant, but the class is going to go to the flight line, but you're going to need to wait. You can't even show up at the flight line because we're waiting for this waiver. So I sat there for a couple weeks, and I reached back and called the man who had commissioned me, and I said, hey, I'm still waiting for that waiver, and they haven't given it yet. And he said, let me make a phone call. So he called to Randolph Air Force Base, and one of his friends was one of the surgeons generals. And he said, hey, I'm waiting, Lieutenant Claiborne is there at Laughlin, and she's waiting for that waiver. And the Surgeon General said, well, she needs to go get measured again because we had someone ding a wing about a month ago, and we're not going to give any more height waivers. So she needs to go in and get measured again. So he reached back out to me, and I'm like, oh man. So for the entire week, I laid in my waterbed. We had waterbeds back. Some of y'all know what waterbeds are. You young folks don't know what a waterbed is, but some of you old folks do. So I laid in the waterbed, and they say that in the morning you are taller than in the evening, because as you walk all day long, your spine compresses. So Monday morning, I slithered out, got in my vehicle, drove up to the flight surgeon's office, went in, got measured, and of course the flight surgeon there, they have skin in the game, but he's knowing, like, this young lady came down here to learn how to fly an airplane. I don't know if I was exactly the right height, but he goes, it looks like that to me. And I pranced on down to the flight line and got busy. I prefer to call that by any means necessary. So I tiptoed as long as I needed to tiptoe. This doesn't work? Okay, I've got this one. When I talk, I usually, so let's get going here. That was just my little intro story, y'all. Okay, I would like to also recognize the young people that are here, who this is really all about. the students at the academy. Will Lauren, Keenan, and Caden stand up again? I got to spend some time with them today, and wonderful young people who are going to need our support, if not financially, which they've gotten a grant, so they're good, but they're going to need our well wishes and sometimes the old 8.5. You guys get that one? Because that's what it takes sometimes, right? And they know that's what they're going to get from me, and I will be following through. So thank you all. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, and especially to our young leaders in the room today. When we speak of the Tuskegee Airmen, we are speaking of giants, men who took flight not only against enemy forces overseas, but against the very system at home that told them they could not, should not, and would not ever fly. In the 1940s, there were those who insisted that black men did not have the intelligence, the discipline, or the courage to handle the complexities of flight. Studies were written, speeches were given, laws and policies were structured to deny them wings before they even had the chance to prove themselves. The Tuskegee Airmen were told, "You are not qualified." Y'all see this hat I have on? Okay. Maybe some of you have seen it, maybe some of you haven't. I encourage you to look. There's a YouTube video that went viral where I was interviewed by AOPA. And the lady was asking me, questions about how I was received. And I went on a diatribe about my qualifications. And hence, hashtag I am qualified. But it's the same story, okay? History did prove otherwise. Not only were they qualified, they were exceptional. Their record in combat was amongst the best. Their discipline was unmatched, their courage undeniable. From 1941 to 1946, 992 pilots trained at Tuskegee. 355 were deployed overseas, thank you, sir, and 84 lost their lives in combat, training, or as prisoners of war. They flew 1,578 combat missions, completing 15,533 sorties, and delivered protection as bomber escorts in 179 missions, losing only 27 bombers compared to the average of 46 for similar groups. Their formidable record includes 112 enemy aircraft destroyed in the air, 150 destroyed on the ground, and 148 damaged. They also destroyed 950 rail cars, 40 boats and barges, and sank an enemy destroyer. Their valor was recognized with 96 Distinguished Flying Crosses, 744 air medals, 1 Silver Star and 8 Purple Hearts, multiple Distinguished Unit citations, and in 2007, the collective honor of the Congressional Gold Medal. Yeah. And those were their awards they received. Doesn't mean that there weren't more awards that they deserved. In the face of systemic denial, they proved their critics wrong through bravery and excellence. There's that word, excellence. Their story was not just about flying, it was about redefining what was possible. And yet, when I look around today, in 2025, I cannot ignore that the echoes of the same prejudice still linger. Young black women and men are still told in subtle and not so subtle ways that they are not qualified. Sometimes it is said outright, sometimes it is hidden behind polite words. You don't belong here. You don't fit the image. You're not quite ready. The airmen heard it then. Too many of our young people hear it now. I know, because I lived it. and I had the honor of becoming the first African American woman pilot in the United States Air Force. Thank you. Later, I spent more than 3 decades flying for United Airlines, where I retired as a Boeing 787 captain. But I will tell you, there were many who doubted me. Many who looked at me, and not just because I was short, who looked at me and saw not my skills, not my discipline, and not my dedication, but only my race and my gender. The height might have counted in there somewhere too. They're like, she's too short to fly. And that's why I say these words that guide my mission. If you can see it, you can be it. The Tuskegee Airmen gave me something to see. Their excellence allowed me to imagine myself in a cockpit, even when no one else believed it was possible. And when I sat in that pilot seat, I wanted to be that vision for the next young person, so that they too could see themselves. But let us be honest about the moment we're in. The climate has shifted. The very programs designed to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion, programs that help open doors for underrepresented communities, are under attack. There's less funding, less support, and more questioning of whether these opportunities are even necessary. And so once again, we hear the old refrains. Are you really qualified? Do you really belong? I do encourage you to, if you have the time, to look for that YouTube video. Just put Teresa Claiborne in there, it'll pop up. Because I do speak to these issues. And every once in a while, it happens more often than I would like to think of, somebody puts out a video with my image, asking about qualifications, and it's kind of ridiculous. So I do address it in that video. Okay? The same myths that grounded the Tuskegee Airmen in the beginning are alive in different forms today. The battlefield is different, but the fight is the same. So listen up. Back then, the prejudice was blatant. Government policy, military leadership, and society questioned their right to even earn a pilot's wings. Listen real closely. Today, the prejudice is blatant. Government policy, military leadership, and society still question our right to earn pilots' wings. Let's look at the numbers. In 2025, about 2% of the United States Air Force pilots are black, roughly 300 out of the 15,000. In the Navy, around 1.3% of fighter pilots are black. In the Marines, diversity is even more scarce. And in commercial aviation, just 4% of pilots are black. For women, it's less than 0.5%. I was 1 out of 25 black women at United, and we have 17,000 pilots there. These gaps persist due to systemic obstacles, limited recruiting from underrepresented communities, fewer mentorship opportunities, fewer chances to build flight hours, and ongoing stereotypes that question competence. Seeing yourself in the mirror of history matters. The airmen showed me that excellence looks like, what excellence looks like in planes, in courage, in defying odds. And I carried that legacy with every flight and every challenge I embraced. Today, DEI initiatives, the programs that advance diversity, equity, and inclusion, are facing unprecedented resistance. Budget cuts, executive orders, removal of content honoring diverse service members from military platforms. Federal DEI programs dismantled and questioned, even blamed about evidence for tragedies. These rollbacks diminish support for students, for young professionals, and for future pilots, younger generations who need that visible path. So what do? We take the lesson from the Tuskegee Airmen. Excellence is the answer. They silenced the doubters, not with arguments, but with performance. Who was the first one to win Top Gun? Okay. There's a reason we proved we could fly. Okay. That's not something that is always taught. But the Tuskegee Airmen, black pilots, were the first to win Top Gun. Still going on today. They showed the world, mission after mission, they could not only meet the standard, but they could raise it. So this is our crossroads. The challenge remains the same, though the circumstances have evolved. When you see it, you can be it. Young people, y'all know who you are, because a bunch of y'all up there about my age. But we all need to be excellent if we can. Young people, I want you to take this to heart. Whatever you choose to do in life, be the best at it. If you choose aviation, be the best pilot in the sky. If you choose science, be the innovator whose discoveries cannot be denied. If you choose medicine, be the healer whose skill speaks louder than prejudice. Because here's the truth. The world may try to put limits on you, but limits do not define destiny. Character does. Excellence does. Perseverance does. I leave you with this challenge. Do not shrink from excellence. Chase it. Demand it of yourself. Because when you are excellent, no barrier can contain you. No prejudice can define you. And no one can deny your place in history. The airman soared so that I could fly. I flew so that you could see. And now, young people, it is your turn to rise higher, to go further, and to prove once again that if you can see it, you can be it. Thanks.
Now, I want you to know something. Yes. With the airlines changing its policy, I did not want to burden you and your 5 foot, 3.5 foot awesome frame with a package. Oh, okay. So I get to say, your gift's in the mail. But I do, no, turn around this way. I want to pose for a picture.
My imaginary gift.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. Give another round of applause. All right. Thank you. And there is a special gift. But again, I do not want to spoil this surprise. It will immediately follow the convention and bother Leon if it doesn't arrive. Hi there. All right. This concludes our luncheon almost. So there's a silent auction out there. Did you count? She's still counting. But I stopped at 500 and there was still more, and that was the cash, and we have $1,000 worth of checks. And we have pledges and checks and cash and a match. Anybody else want to join? Just in case? You got 5? Do I hear 5? All right. You want the mic? If you gave an electronic pledge, please raise your hand. If you gave, there was Teresa Claypool. All right, anybody else give an electronic pledge? I've got the names. My phone says, you got $500. I'm like, and it ain't mine. So I wrote 2 checks. So, all right. Come on. She's still counting. That's a good sign. Should we put pressure on her and give her a drum roll? Don't do that? Okay. $1,075 in cash over who has math? 1,075 plus You can always just list out 2 of them and we'll make them cash. 650. Who's got my math? Who's adding this up for me? Good. 650, 200, 200, 200. And the pledges that you have on the bottom quarter pocket on that sheet of paper. It's totaled. 850 plus what we got in cash. 3,605 plus another 3,600. You know, if
No. Hold on. 500.
So that's 4,100.
$777 at that.
So that's 4,882.
And Butler Drones gave us 200. Uh-oh. We got pilot
It can go up,
competition
Captain.
here. Oh, excuse me.
All right.
Hold on. 787.
So we are closing in on 5,000, and if we don't make it to 5,000, I know you want to do it. Oh, wait a minute. You going to top me up at 5,000, whatever's needed? Infinity, 100. Did you just say 100? Another 100. So we are at, I think, close to $5,000 or $10,000.
And I'm going to...
At least match mine.
Now, wait a minute. Nubian Enterprise, $500.
Ooh, add another pledge for 500. Over here. 100, I need your name. John what? John Sterling, $100, pledge. Yeah. Amelia Montgomery, 200.
I'm sorry. Gwen Turner, what did you give us? What are you giving us? Miss Gwen Turner's giving us 50.
Miss Turner, 50. Come on. We're going to break at 5,500. Miss Montgomery was
that 200, right?
200.
Come on now. Let Starbucks rest for a week.
I just want you to know that we did better than OBAP. OBAP had a QR code, and they said, we need 50,000. Then they came back, we need 25,000. And then they said, then we never heard how much we raised.
Oh, no. So Sisters of the Sky, the captain got up there, and when I was talking to
well, that's another
Captain
group.
Claiborne,
we did okay.
Hold on. She said, we need 25. Before she put the mic down, they had 10. By the time I left the gala at 9:30, because it started at 8 o'clock, well, as I'm walking out the door, they raised $35,000. I know you're not going to let the Sisters of the Sky beat us, please.
Well,
I'm just saying.
I'm not going to be that demanding. If I always say this, if you have some to give, please give.
Yes.
See us up front. If not, send us your prayers, send us your volunteer time, send us your ideas, send us your love and support. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the luncheon. Please share the Tuskegee Airmen legacy. Share it. I know you will live it, and I want you all to be blessed. I will see you around. Mic drop.
Okay, before you leave, make sure you see Miss Tasha Holloway. If you gave cash, no, some people didn't, so that's what I'm saying. And let's be clear about what President Butler said about chapter participation. Now, you heard businesses and individuals in here. I need you to go back to your chapters. They can give $5 here, $10 there. As your new fundraising committee person, I'm asking you, I want to see some checks, some online revenue from your chapters. And I already know that we got competition with Eastern Region, Western Region, and Central Region. I'm going to blow up Eastern Region. What are you guys going to do? Okay? So that's the pledge. Go back in the field to your chapters, start raising money.